Sweet.
So how are you? It's a Friday.
I am fantastic. I love Fridays. Actually, I like Mondays a little bit more than Fridays.
Why is that?
Mondays feel like a new beginning, man. Usually after like Sunday, I'm itching to do more work. So,
So
um,
this is coming from a person that loves his job.
yeah. Fridays can sometimes be like, damn, can't get it done. But yeah. But overall, today's good. You know, parents are coming over tomorrow. We're gonna hang out. There's an SSS this weekend, which I'm gonna watch. Won't be down, but I'll be coming down to LA on Wednesday for Smash Summit. Yeah, and casting that alongside people like Lovage, who's going to be there too, and I'm really excited.
So who's the talent that are coming? Like last time, we had you, Scar, Toph, Wife. Who's coming? Like I don't even know the list.
Okay, so it's me, Scar, Toph, Brandon, Lovage. And I think that's like the main list. I know MacD's also going to be in house. Abu is also going to be there, and then the players. So that's what you can expect, I think.
Wait, how's MacD going again?
I think he bought a ticket.
I was thinking about it, right? Because I was just talking about like League of Legends fanfare. Like, $500 is actually worth it. Like, if I think about it from a
Absolutely.
fan, because you're literally spending like 4 days with like the top players. You get food, and you get to hang out. Like, how much would a League of Legends equivalent cost?
Hey, someone said no, Phil. Not so sure. League of Legends equivalent costs a ton more, and I think they probably could have sold more of them. I mean, the of that ticket too. I mean, Abu also had the benefit of he wanted to buy it because I think he wanted to give votes to Duck, since Duck was in that close race. So it had like a double whammy. He got to put votes to Duck, and he also got to go himself through a donation drive as well. But I think it'll be exciting. I'm really excited to see like that four-man casting couch again. That worked out really well last time. So I think there's a lot of dream foursomes that we can make with that crew.
Other than the four guides, because like that has to happen.
Yeah.
What are the combinations that you're kind of interested in, and like what kind of circumstances would you think those are good?
Well, I want to do stuff like, at least for me personally, I want to do like Toph, Scar, Lovage, and me, because that just sounds sick and that sounds fun for me. Um, I want to do. I think we did it once. We did I think we did Brandon, me, Phil, and either Scar or Toph. I forget. That was fun too. So I want to do that. And just like different combos. Like the cool thing about four-man commentary is that like since you don't have to talk all the time, you just kind of can relax and let the other three people talk. And kind of take a break for like even a minute. Like a whole 40 seconds goes by, you don't say anything, and the viewers don't notice because the other people are talking, right? And so you can like actually chime in whenever you have something important to say, rather than you're just trying to do play by play and all that. So I think that's what's cool about it. It's a really relaxing commentary experience. I could probably do it the whole time, like for 12 hours straight without really having any struggle. It's a lot easier.
What else are you looking forward to at the event?
I'm looking forward to the results. I'm most hyped for, of course, HBox versus Armada if it happens. Um, we've built it for a while now. It's the battle for the best in the world. So that is going to happen in a small house in Southern California. But it is very much the battle for best in the world, and I think you can't write it out any better. I also am very hyped for teams. Very happy that we got both Pew Pew and SFAT, because obviously PewFat is like the heart and soul of teams lately, and I want to see how they fare against the other top teams that are going to be there, like Mewtwo and Armada and HBox and Plup. So that's like my two main things I'd say I'm hyped about: teams and HBox and Armada.
So do you think the streak's going to be broken for Mango? Where I believe he's like made it to like every grand finals when Armada's in attendance in California.
Oh, that's a streak that I didn't know about. Uh, I think. I mean, odds on, you would say yes. It would get broken. You never know with these guys. Again, these guys are too good to ever really count them out. And I think you can. There's a popular turn of phrase that says "Don't sleep on the kid," but I don't sleep on any of the six, or even seven or eight if you include like Westfall's Axe. They can always do it too.
I put Mewtwo King at like a potential to get top 3, but I'm mostly sleeping on Mewtwo King at this point.
Yeah, he has a potentially a top 3. The environment does sound like a good one for Mewtwo King to have success in. There's a lot less stress at the summit type events, and he actually like in general puts less pressure on himself than even some of the other top Smash players. At least I've noticed the way he talks.
Yeah.
So that might help him out too. Depends. Generally, he plays best when he doesn't feel that sort of pressure. So,
dude,
it's good.
I feel so bad for his first opponent in bracket because he will literally practice for 3 days against that specific matchup.
Yeah, and he will practice. We've seen him like go on a side setup and practice a matchup though, and then he doesn't even play it against other people. Like Mewtwo King's decisions never make sense to me. You'll see him go, Fox Dittos against someone for like 4 hours, and then when he goes up on stage, he's going Sheik. You're like, okay,
maybe it's a line game.
Maybe it's a very very long line game. Regardless, it'll be very interesting. Another interesting note is how Plup's gonna do. He's like had a few things on Twitter where he's like, hey, I'm gonna take a break. Hey, I'm getting a little burned out. Blah blah blah. And then you see at frame 1, the Florida regional that they had recently. He actually won it with Fox. Very head scratching. Frankly, a debilitating loss for Axe, in my opinion. I don't think you should be losing to Plup's third best character if you're going to be called in the same tier as him. I'm just curious how that will lead in going forward, right? And where Plup will fall. Because he's been the guy to watch for a good year now, and his continued rise.
It's what impressed me was like people like Joey have struggled against Wizrobe, and even Gatsu's gotten the better end of like some of the like upcoming Foxes, and Plup made that look really easy as Fox versus Falcon.
Yeah, against Wizrobe. Like Wizrobe lost too, really badly. Now I know like Plup's been using his Fox, and he's had it for a while. Like you can look at the old SSS where he got flown out, and he had Fox back then too. So it's not anything new, but I think he would tell you that his Sheik and his Samus are better. Even though his Fox is very good, I'm shocked that those players lost to him at that stage. He even said it on the post interview. I watched the post interview, and he said, "Yeah, I was planning on basically taking it easy this tournament. Didn't come in expecting to win. I was just going to play around with my Fox, but he played around and he just won. And he won against Axe 3-0, I think.
Yeah,
so, that's pretty insane as far as I'm concerned."
is this a disappointment? I mean, it's always the two-sided debate, right? Is it disappointing for the other player to lose, or are we just more amazed that the other guy won in the fashion he did?
The fact that Plup did it to other players other than Axe, I think that you have to definitely point it to more impressed. But I watched Axe play, and that was probably the worst I've seen Axe play. Like in years.
Yeah.
It was shocking, actually.
But like,
so that should be said as well. But it's crazy that Plup can just 3-0 him with Fox.
How many people have 3-0'd Axe as Fox Pikachu? Mingo can't even do it.
Yeah, like no one can do that. Like that's crazy. Axe in general, like he's I hope he's not slumping now because he really needs to like. That result would have been good for him, right? A win over Plup. Even if it's a Plup secondary, it's not bad. It's still going to go down in the record books as a win over Plup. But the loss now looks even worse. So
So we never talked about it, but like speaking of kind of the tiers, how much did you disagree with my tier list of players?
Can you give your tier list?
So this was like about a month, at least 2 weeks ago. So I put Armada and Hungrybox in their own tier.
Is this the Red Bull article?
Yes.
Let me pull it up.
While you pull it up, you didn't really disagree with the first four at this point, right? Armada, Hungrybox in their own tier, Leffen and Mango.
It's hard to rank Leffen.
Yeah.
I think that we'll know in Gomel and EGLX, but dude, he could suck or he could not suck, right? Like that's the thing, right? When you miss that much time, Melee keeps going. Melee doesn't stop for anybody. So who knows? Is Leffen tier 1? Is he tier 2? Is he tier 3?
I put Mango ahead of Leffen. Like within the same tier. Let me find the article. But I think I think I'd put him like in between like Leffen or Mango and like UT King PP.
Yeah. I like that you put Plup above UT King PP, and I think PP's at a point where it's like, do we even list him anymore? Like we don't even know if he's going to Evo. It's to that point. Like, why are we listing him?
But like at the point we have somewhat like enough data of him in the past 3 months to kind of tell where he's at right now.
Well, if we use that data, he's not 7th.
That's
true.
It,
he's lower. Like, so I don't get it. Like, either you use the data and you rank him, you put him way lower than we're ranking him.
Where would you put him?
Well, if I would prefer just not use the data because I know it's just inaccurate, right? So I'd prefer just not list him anymore.
Okay. Like I made a compromise, right?
Right? He's soft retired, so. Huh?
Because I made like a compromise on him because like he still got fit. I mean, he still like got 5th. He beat Ice. He beat PPU.
Yeah, and that's impressive, but that's not a rank 7.
Is that like more of a rank 10?
Maybe more. I don't know. The bigger thing is that you balance that with his Battle of the Five Gods performance, whatever you want to say about it, and that's far lower than a rank 10, right? Because of PPU and Ice victory, and then you balance it with like the MACD, Silent Wolf, like all those losses back to back, and it wasn't that fantastic. And frankly, the Genesis performance, he was super close to losing as well, right?
Yeah.
He had, those sets were not easy.
The lucky set went to game 5. SFAT went to game 4.
Was SF 4? I know there was a Fox set that he should have lost.
Lucky, like I don't know what the hell happened to Lucky at the end of that set, man.
Like right in front of him, right?
But,
so
like if I were to do revisionist history, I might have put I would probably do it West Ball's PPX.
West Ball's PPX. I mean, why? I mean, my question is, if you look at Axe again, Axe had amazing back-to-backs at Genesis and PAX Arena.
Yeah.
Like you're just at this point you're just doing incumbency protocol, right, to keep PP that high.
Well, I mean, Axe also didn't make it out of pools at Battle of the Five.
True, but again, look at that pool, right? PP, if he was in that same pool, if you technically look at who he lost to, he wouldn't have made it out either, because he had Axe lost to Mango and MACD. Last I checked, PP lost to MACD too, right? And I'm assuming he lose to Mango. So, what are we criticizing him for?
That's
right?
true. I usually like give the slight edge to Legacy at this point.
I mean, that's what most rankings do, and that's why I say I'd rather not rank him, because he's telling us that he's not going to any tournament anytime soon, right? As in, he might not. If you're not going to Evo, as far as I'm concerned, you're retired or you're soft retired, right?
Yeah.
So I just don't see the point of ranking.
I mean, is he going to Evo? I mean, I would be really surprised if he didn't.
I would be really surprised if he did.
Like, I think that'd be like a little, because like that's his sponsors are like, AJ's a great guy and I know he's really accommodating, but like I think if they have conversations, I'm just speaking out of my butt right now. I don't actually know. Like I think AJ would tell him at least go to Evo if there's anything. Yeah,
I mean maybe they'd want him to go and all that. Battle of the Five Gods was hosted by a sponsor, so that's part of the reason why he went.
Yeah.
So it depends. If he goes there, we'll see. But Black Magic says PP said he's going. Black Magic, show me your source.
It's probably his stream.
If it's true, then sure. Then I don't think we should count him as retired. Basically, if he has a plan to go to an upcoming event, then we shouldn't count him as retired. If he is saying, hey, I need some time, I need some time to get my health in order, then he's soft retired as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah,
right?
That's fair.
And that's what it should be. I also think, in terms of your listing, Westball's axe, I don't think is as clear cut as 8-9. You know, like I think there's a very strong argument that axe is in fact above Wes, and not the other way around. So
they both have been dropping the ball.
Yeah, exactly. It's like both of them almost don't want to go ahead of each other. So like they both have moments where you're just like shaking your head, like how does this happen? So
he lost to Lottie, but
Lottie Dottie.
Do we go with the memes just say that Lottie's up and comingness is so out of the control that like Westball's loss is justified? So
my favorite moment of Pound was we had that big KBBQ like thing where we had like we had like 50 people. It was crazy. We took over the joint. Everyone was mad. There was like one couple that was in the corner. They had their own table, and they hated us. They hated us because they were the one non-Smash group there, and then it was just all Smashers just wilding out, going nuts, right? So we took over the joint, and I was in the same table as two other top 8ers. The joke was made that this table has more top 8 than any other table because I had Laudanis at my table and
Swedish.
And Swedish, correct. So I was straight across from Laudanis, and I've never seen a man happier than I saw Laudanis. You know, I've never seen someone be so happy. He was smiling the whole time. He's made so many top 8 jokes that he was basically saying things like, you know, for the rest of my life, I can walk away and say that I got 5th at a major and no one can stop me, you know? And I thought it was precious, right? I was sitting there and I felt extremely happy for him. It got old after a while because we were actually there for like 2 hours and this guy just could not stop feeling himself. But I felt really, really happy for Sam at that moment because I had Hacks. I had Hacks at that table. So we had Hacks, Swedish, and Laudanis at this table. And Hacks was sitting next to Abu, of course, and they were cheesing it up together, right? Those guys love each other. It's the weirdest relationship. Don't understand it.
Dude, Laudanis is I think Laudanis is like has more importantly than the top 6. He's followed by Hacks.
He's followed by Hacks. That's true. Yeah, I mean they're pretty good friends. They were hanging out, and Hacks was also super happy. Like he felt so good. He felt so good after that event. He even made the remark to me that I don't like. He thought that he was just gonna go. He didn't know whether he was gonna go to Pound or not. He was thinking about not going, and you know he didn't know if he was gonna go and play more. But now after this Pound, he definitely wants to go to Summit. Whereas he was kind of like, I don't know if I should come back yet. All this stuff, right? So, definitely sparked a fire under him, and I think that's super, super sick. Especially considering how he played. I mean, that guy was a hero that weekend.
Yeah.
So,
I look at the development of the metagame, and part of the reason why I have you on is like to discuss like characters, because like I really love that one post you made of the Marthin Falco. That was
I made that like 3 years ago.
So you were right. I mean, I largely agree with it. You know, hindsight's 20/20, so I'm technically cheating. But you know, when I look at the progression of how Melee is going, I don't really like where California stands. Like, if we all grow in our normal ways in the next year, agree or disagree?
That's an interesting point. We don't have great character distribution, relatively. I also think that we also have a tendency to overrate ourselves. I think that was maybe best displayed by the Chew Hugs set that ended up happening. And a lot of... There's also, frankly, a California bias that comes just from the fact that many of the players travel more than East Coast players, so people just get to see them more often, right? And I often wonder, like, where would the social standing of a Swedish delight be if he was traveling as much as a Hugs or whatever, right? More people know Hugs' name, but I think Swedish delight is better as a player. That's my personal opinion.
Like the more I thought about that, right? It's like, when you like play fantasy basketball and you have one person that's like a veteran and like this new upcoming player, and then you like the guy makes a trade offer to you, and you're just like, ugh, like I don't want to do it, but it's starting to make sense. Like that's how I feel about like SoCal players and like people from other regions that are getting better, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
and I don't think it's a good sign that you have, even if we're talking about SoCal specifically, we have people going into SoCal and performing well. Where SFAT, now he's won 3 SoCal tournaments. He won, was it 2 Mayhems or 1 SSS? Okay.
Here's the absolute.
But let's remember that was not a good moment in history. But yeah, so the fact that that's so unprecedented, it does make me think that maybe the playing field's getting more even.
Okay, so here's the extreme example of this. Like, I'm not advocating for this at all right now. But like a year from now, would you rather draft Gravy or Hugs in a fantasy draft?
Ooh.
Like,
I'm actually a big time Gravy believer.
But you go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. I think. Look, I'm gonna say Hugs because I have to believe that him going full time means that he'll be able to do even more in a year. And Gravy, a lot of times when we talk about up and comers, sometimes it takes a little bit longer than we think that it will. Sometimes, especially with Florida players, whenever we start hyping them, know that we're always 2 years too early.
Yeah.
So I'll caveat that, but I'm a Gravy believer for the reason that he doesn't seem to get nervous. I saw him on the big stage in the crew battles, and he looked like he belonged. So I like that. And also, I think he has some dominating matchups. And when you have some dominating matchups, and ones that you really understand at a very technical level and can compete with even the tippity top of players, that means you're due for a good bracket run, right? If he runs into like some marts on his way, even like the highest level marts, I think he can win, right? I don't know who would win between even Pew Pew and Gravy, right?
I think Gravy wins at this point.
It's possible, right? Because that guy's really good at that matchup. And he's been good at it for a while. It's not nothing new for him. And he's good at other matchups too. So yeah, I absolutely believe that if you give him some time, Gravy can hit that tip top level. So yeah, sure. He's definitely a guy to watch too.
Because there's like a lot more people now. Like we look at the diversity in the meta, right? Like who would Johnny rather play, Hugs or Gravy? I'm pretty sure it's Hugs.
Hugs because he doesn't lose to Hugs. MacD hit me with a crazy stat recently when I was on a stream that Squid has a better record against MacD this year than Hugs does. What a crazy world.
Yeah. And then we have like Face Roll who's coming up. Like, would you rather pick Face Roll in a year, or would you rather pick... Let me think of a... Would you pick Face Roll or Fruit Loop in a year?
Oh, I'm taking Face Roll. I might take Face Roll right now.
Okay, let me think of another example. Face Roll or Kels in a year?
Dude, Kel's got a kid. I wouldn't take Kels over. Like, I wouldn't take Kels in a draft right now. In any situation.
How about Face Roll or DJ Nintendo in a year? DJ Nintendo is like a good comparison because like I think he's like underrated right now too. And
dude, his ranking is really low. He's way underranked on the MIM 100 right now, in my opinion.
The only thing is that he can't get big wins. That's like his issue.
Yeah, but his results are consistent. Like his results are better than the people above him, I would call.
Yeah.
But yeah, he just doesn't have like the storyline, the headliner, right? The thing that someone will be like, hey, DJ beat player X, and therefore he's amazing now, right? And that sort of variance, like he's not a high variance player, right? Like there's high variance players often get headlines, like a West Balls, right?
Yeah.
Where either someone beats West Balls and it's the biggest news of the day, or West Balls beats like a god, and that's the biggest news of the day.
So it's like these are like big interesting discussions, right? Because like you look at a year from now, I don't know if SoCal grows correctly in accordance to like how the meta is heading.
Maybe. I mean, at the same time, though, SoCal has a habit of building monsters out of nowhere, right? Like, why is Face Roll getting good in SoCal versus when he was in Midwest? It's because he has mayhems and SSSs all the freaking time, where he can turn into a monster, given some time, and he has that practice. So, I wouldn't count SoCal out, but I'll agree that the game is going to get more and more global as time goes on. If we do our cards right, like we should want it to be more global. So I expect up and comers from other regions to start sprouting up, and therefore making their respective region a little bit stronger.
And then like we're looking at like Tri-State and New England, who are starting to have like good local scenes, and it's not surprising that their up and comers are doing well as well.
Yeah, it's actually, there's got to be some algorithm to it, but it's so congruent, right? And this was one of the things that always blew my mind with TOing, is that as the quality of events go up, and the frequency and like the better your premier local is, like the local of your region, it's almost guaranteed you're going to just pop up some monsters. It reminds me of like the game Civilization, and Civilization 4, I think the later ones too. As you built your city up, there's this thing called Great People, and when you built up enough culture in your city in the game, randomly sprouted like an Einstein, right?
Yeah.
And it's kind of a social commentary, right? Like, if your culture and your society progresses to a point, it builds an environment that naturally leads to these great people. That's what Civilization's theory was, at least. And in Melee, sometimes it works out that way too. If your scene as a region has better events, has more competition, has more active competition, better TOing, all this stuff, and commentary, and people are watching it, and like there's people are pushing each other, then yeah, those kind of players do crop up naturally, and we see that in different ages and spheres, right? Like, I don't think it's a coincidence that, when Mango came up was actually one of SoCal's high points, right? And then there's a generation of SoCal that wasn't really that good when it revolved out to Festezios, right? And then it came back up in the more modern era. And you see that in other regions in a congruent way. Like, MDVA has become much stronger now that Xanadu has made it better. For the longest time, for like a decade, H2IL, Shoot'At, Chillin', whatever, were just straight up the top headliners, right? But they didn't have anyone else. And now you're looking at, okay, what about LOD? What about, Smash God? What about, Nintendo was on top there for a second. And they're flying people out, et cetera, et cetera. I think that the next generation of MDVA is going to start being really good and probably usurp the guys who were winning there before.
Remember the old dark days of SoCal? Where Sung and Stab were like arguably like top 5 because of just no one else was active.
Well, Sung, everyone knows Sung would be top 5 if he was ever active, regardless. But yeah, no, the dark days of SoCal are not documented enough. People in general, I think people don't understand the region dynamics of Smash in historical terms. Like, for some reason, new players always think SoCal's the best and has always been the best. It's not true. MDVA was the best for the first half decade or more of Melee. That was the best region in the world, right? And then SoCal went up to be the best around the Mango era, where players like Lucky emerged as well, the Norwalk crew, and then had a super dead era, and then revived again. But yeah, there's been
who helped revive that.
It's me, dude. Call me. But yeah, it's usually it's usually dependent on, and the sad thing about Smash, this is not a good thing, is that a lot of Smash and region dynamics plays on how good the infrastructure in that region is, how good the mini org is. You look at just Boston, dude. Trust me, there are going to be some top 25 players that come out of the Boston scene within 2 to 3 years, right? It's guaranteed. their TOing is too strong. They have too many good events. They're going to have a major soon. Like Boston is prime for one of those guys who are going to their weeklies to get good. It's going to happen, right?
Who did Mafia beat recently? That was pretty good.
Yeah, Mafia's getting better. Good for him. I don't know who he beat though.
I guess the moment we say that New England's getting better is when Matt.Zev gets top 100.
Yeah,
that'll be the ultimate proving point.
I'd be shocked though. Like usually, it's not the TO. The guy who's running it is not the one getting better. That's kind of how it works.
Are you going to go to Shine this year? I really want to make it.
I'm going to go. There's no way I'm not going to go. I think that scene deserves it.
Wait,
I love the TOs.
Can you tell me what the hell is wrong with the moon? No offense to Mafia, but Mafia beat the moon last time at Pound, I think.
Is that the loss? Oh my god. Luna, come on.
The moon has been dropping the ball lately.
Luna.
You go from taking West to Game 5 at CEO for top 8, or wrecking Foxes. Luna, what's wrong?
My man Luna. You guys should follow his stream. He's got a very good stream.
I love it.
That's my... the Moon is one of my favorite people in the whole community, but while simultaneously he doesn't get enough credit, he also needs to work on his matchups. He's just too spacey dependent. Everyone's criticized him for it before. He's also good at certain other matchups, like he's good against Ice Climbers. There's just some matchups, like you watch him versus Puff, and you're just like, come on, like this is like it's almost like watching a different player. So it's insane. I also like the fact that him and DJ are like a consistent team. It's always good to have in Smash.
What do you think their peak is, though? Because I like watching them play, but for some reason I feel like they should be doing a lot better.
Yeah, for real, right? It's usually I feel like they never both play well at the same time, right? And they also seem, from their character dynamic, they love each other, but I've heard them talk to each other after matches. It seems like they blame each other a lot, right? It's always one or the other to blaming the other. It's almost always what they got out of the match. Whereas I look at the SFAT Pew Pew dynamic, it's never that way, right? So I wonder if it might just be that mentality thing. But they have a lot of chemistry together still, regardless. Maybe that's just built with time. But I believe in their potential. I just think that the results have shockingly not met it.
Yeah. Did you get to read the PewFat article on ESPN?
I did. I liked it a lot. And the comment, I tweeted it out too because I've been saying this for a while because no one else has been noticing. But Team's viewership has been going way up in the last year.
Can you elaborate on that? Because I wasn't aware of that.
So Apex 2015 and on, pretty much all majors and team viewership has been really, really good. You even look at Pound, and the doubles viewership for Melee was the same or better as Wii U top 8. It did very, very well. I'm talking about Wii U singles top 8. So people are liking teams more. I think the commentary for teams has stepped up a little bit, I will admit. I think people that are better at it are getting the chance to be on the commentary. It still needs a lot of work. I think that Webbs is one of the better team's commentators. Vish isn't bad at it. I think I'm amazing at it. And I think D1's really good at it. So I think that's getting better. We all need to work on it a little bit, though. And generally, it's the big storyline. I think PewFat has made teams so interesting to watch. I go into events often more hyped for teams than I am even singles. Just because their rise to potentially being the best team in the world, it's so fun to watch and to follow, right, as a fan. So I'm happy that article was written because it covers teams well. My only request to TOs is I think teams needs to get more better time slots. Just instead of doing weird Saturday hours or weird 2 p.m. on Saturday or something for your team's finals, give it a real time slot because it's already proving itself in viewership numbers. And let's see how high it can go.
Did you I want to. I'm gonna make a pitch to do a UGS article because Prague's was so inspirational.
Yeah, a UGS article would be sick. I think that'd be very good. And I also think like the whole storyline of hey, we have a clash. Do you remember the Hunger Box video that Last Lock Legends put out?
Yeah.
That was for about the Slock Swedish match. Dude, Team Top 8 at Genesis was ridiculous, actually. That was so good. Um, and and the video that Last Lock Legends put out, like that whole conflict of you have top players who are top players in individual skill, but they don't, maybe they don't have it all together. Not to say that Hungerbox is necessarily that guy, but that was the point being made. And then you have on the other side people like QFAT who are just like so synergistic, and maybe where they lack in individual skill, they make up with synergy. I think that natural conversation is just an amazing storyline, and it's like the constant thing that's going on in teams where we talk about that and we're like, okay, sure, Armada Mewtwo that sounds good, but is it even better than Armada Android where they have more synergy, right? And that conversation is crazy to have normally, right? You're like, who's better, Mewtwo or Android? You say without a doubt Mewtwo, but teams is different. Teams is cool in the sense that new, combinations are often more important than pure individual skill, and like the math of it, right? The math of singles is often, you kind of know, right? You look at a bracket, you click projected on Smash EG, and it's usually right. it's right most very very strong percentage of the time. Whereas with teams, it's like, well, who knew that Slox and Swedish Delight would have this kind of chemistry? And who knew that became like a really cool dominant team? And that stuff can really get built. Put two top 25 players in the room, make them, and give them some time and give them a lot of hours, maybe months together, and they build synergy, and they can beat anyone in the world, right? And that's very different than from singles that you don't see. So
I agree. That's interesting that you mentioned, because I was surprised because I didn't know what teams viewership was like, because I always try to track the peak, and that's usually melee singles.
Yeah.
So like, I guess why? So Smash 4, I look around, Judy96 puts out a weekly Excel sheet of like how many people are playing the game at locals. It didn't look that bad. Why is the why is the viewership not getting what I think it should be getting? Or why does it always seem lower than what I think it should be, I guess?
It's hard to say. I think it's a storyline and content creation angle. Like, you just go on Reddit during Pound Weekend, and the whole site is red, as in all the tags are melee. I think that if you're an outsider point of view and you're looking into the scene and you say, what do I follow at Pound, you're often looking at melee. And that is not a knock to the Smash 4 guys at all, but it is a knock to the content creators. The guys like ESAM and Zero are putting out a lot of articles, but I still don't see storylining on the other half. Like, me as a viewer, and I had a lot of fun watching, for example, the Big House Top 8 for Smash 4, and I knew a new patch came out, and I knew Zero wasn't there.
Wait, Zero was there? At Big House?
No, I'm talking about at Pound.
Oh, okay, yeah.
The new patch came out, Bayonetta and all that, and Zero wasn't there. But as a viewer, I would love to have some guidance to know, okay, Abadango the Mewtwo, that's like a thing, and like maybe tell me more about what Anti's doing in the new patch, or who like just tell me more. I just want to know more. That's all I'm asking. And I think that that's like that usually that sort of thing doesn't usually have like an immediate effect, but it is a gradual residual effect, especially since the Zero streak, it got broken by Nairo at MLG. So that's what people were following before. If Zero was going to lose. So now they need something new to follow. They need to know more about the whole scene, and no one's telling that story, or they're doing a pretty poor job at it. So I think that's the natural cause and effect I'm seeing in terms of viewership.
It's a chicken or the egg dilemma, though, right? Because the larger sites aren't going to pay money for Smash 4 articles if it doesn't get viewership, but then how do you get viewership without Smash 4 articles?
Well, then you don't do it on the larger sites, right? Like, we were on MIOM before we were on ESPN, right? That's you just make stuff. You stop thinking and you start making content. That's the rule of content creation. Just don't think so hard. Just make stuff, and you work with what you got, and then it grows out of that. In terms of attendance, we have a very worrying trend that with Smash 4 that I'm hoping to alleviate. I think an Evo bump will do them a lot of good in the sense that Genesis and Pound, you steal about half of what Melee got. I think that pure attendance-wise, it seems like Melee plus Smash 4 majors, Smash 4 doesn't show up as well, whereas Smash 4 only events, they show up very well. So like a Glitch. Like Glitch had almost the same attendance as Pound, which is kind of crazy when we put it on paper because Glitch was at freaking Xanadu. And it sort of speaks to the market. They want to have their game showcased and be like the premier game and be like, hype and have their own thing going on, which I respect. At the same time, like you start dipping too low in the attendance numbers and you naturally lose stature within an event. And I think that community, we all got to work together, and hopefully their attendance numbers can pick it up a little bit. So
I'm like, oh, am I echoing? I hear echoes.
Yeah.
It just makes it so tough because I've expressed this pet peeve, right? Like, I'm a Melee guy, and like every time I post something on ESPN or Yahoo or Red Bull, like I get a swarm of people that say like, why am I not writing? Why doesn't this include Smash 4? And I'm just like, well, like
that's not who you are.
I'm an outsider. Like, I think I'd be doing a greater disservice to Smash 4 and 64 by trying to write about a topic I don't know about and misrepresent them.
Right, and I mean that goes for anything. You're not writing Halo articles, are you? You're not writing, League of Legends articles. Although I think you could actually do okay at those, considering how much you follow that. Yeah, that's not surprising. I think the big question is, can they have their own people step up? So, yeah, that's a request. Overall, though, it looks like their gameplay just keeps getting better. Like the top 8s, in my opinion, have been like I remember the PAX Prime top 8 was very, very good for Smash 4. The Big House top 8 was very, very good. The Genesis one was all right, at least. I mean, I watched all the stuff. Hopefully, the post Bayonetta patch, they'll get some good content now. But their players are still excited, and that's always a good sign. Plus, Larry's doing well, and that makes me happy.
I love Larry. I miss him.
I love Larry.
Gosh. So, I don't know. To everybody out there that's wondering, I'm not going to be writing about Smash 4 or 64. I just don't know enough about the topic to represent the community as a writer. And so that's the end of that discussion. For anybody that ever wonders and comments on my articles, yeah, I'm not touching it.
Yeah, and also on my aspect, in many ways, my job description, I do all of Smash. I do a lot of general Nintendo stuff. I do general esports stuff as well for other games. But I tweet about Melee, and you guys see me commentating Melee, not Smash 4. That's mostly because, as you guys know, that's where my passion lies. It has nothing to do against the game. I've just been playing in the Melee community for like over a decade, and that's just it's just part of my blood. I can't take it out,
Yeah.
So it has nothing to do with anything else. Scanlon says, serious question: if attendance and overlap between the two games is not by a very margin, or when you say we're different games, we don't need to be together, or do you just stick with them because they are a Smash title? So we actually do need each other, and like it is super important for the games to be close. And there's many business reasons for that. Namely, that you see these Melee events in these nice venues. They would be in very worse venues if we didn't have that, though, the attendance numbers of Smash 4 also helping out. And the other way around, too, right? There's a reason why when a Smash 4 event is on its own, it's at, a Xanadu, no offense to Xanadu, versus a Pound, the Ritz-Carlton with Pound. It's because we both help carry each other to higher production values. And those, similarly with viewership, their peaks are significant, right? Sure, it's nice to have our Melee peak, but overall, when you round out the viewership, the Smash 4 peak adds on to the total viewership pie, right? And we can have multiple streams all of a sudden. We can put forward more content, get more streams going, allow more streamers to build revenue off of the Smash Brothers industry. It allows a greater market for commentators. All of a sudden, you have guys who can be, like TK or EE, more Smash 4 commentators, build a career out as commentators in their own game, and and again, if they were on their own in their own Smash 4 event, maybe TK&E wouldn't be paid for their commentary, but when it's at a greater event, they would be, right? And that's what the additive effect is. And then, of course, there are greater business conversations where it might be good for sponsorship or promotion to have one game or the other. Some companies love the story of Melee and they love like promoting it, very strongly. Like Red Bull, as you said, does a lot of Melee articles. Other companies, they might like the new fresh game. So there's a lot of different angles to play around it. But trust me, guys, someone who does this every day on the business angle, it is very good for us that we're together. It is an extremely, extremely good thing, and we should all be searching to preserve it.
So speaking of that,
separate people, they say.
so speaking of like kind of the growth and viewership, right? Like,
yeah.
Off my limited knowledge, most TOs, even the larger ones, aren't super profitable. This is like in my head like a proof of concept year for many of the TOs that want to stay in the business, right? Because on one hand of the fence, like everybody could run a 200-man event, but these events are getting larger, so it's like a personal investment for a lot of these TOs, right? But where's like the end goal of all this? Because like Hotbit came in on stream the other day and like even said like, why aren't the larger tournaments like paying a dedicated guy to do sales for a tournament?
Oh, they probably should be, but they can't really. It's kind of weird. So speaking on the dynamics of tournament hosting, most of them don't make money. That's just the bottom line. The vast majority of tournaments don't make money or they go negative. So that should be said. Bottom line, that's our failure as an industry. Similarly, other parts of our industry, it's similar. Commentators typically get very low pay. Even it's gotten to a point where it's a cultural thing. You'll see events which have Smash alongside other esports, and then the Smash commentators don't get paid, but the esport games commentators do get paid, right? Why does that happen? It's because culturally it's been more accepted that Smash commentators get paid less, right? Now, going back to the TOing angle, why do they make less money, and why do they not make money when they're getting these attendance numbers? And that's because costs keep going up, right? When you have a larger event, a larger venue, a bigger production, you have, now people are talking about doing theaters instead of, having one venue. You have two venues. You have hotel deals, you have a lot of things going on, and you don't have much money coming in from outside of that because the sponsorships are still really low. Costs keep going up, and that means risk and shortfall goes up as well. So more TOs, there's going to be more events which lose great amounts of money. And when people ask me, in a serious note, why I haven't done a KOC 5 in a while, it's because I have a lot of great ideas, but a lot of them could potentially lose me a ton of money, right? And I'm not as comfortable with doing that, and I can see why many people are not as well. I think what Shine did was really good. They knew that their budget could potentially leak into the hundreds of thousands of dollars, like 100K plus. So when, let's say, no one signed up for Shine, what happens, guys? The TO loses $100,000. That's exactly what happens. So they did it like a registration boost, where they said the event is greenlit once it reaches a certain number of entrants, and they went forward that way. That's a cool little innovation. But as we get bigger, it gets even harder for those sort of systems to really scale, because you have to start budgeting for a 5,000 person event, and then 2,000 people register, and all of a sudden you're out of $3,000 registrants worth of revenue, and you don't know what to do. And that is the struggles of running as a sole proprietor, like most Smash events do.
So do you think, because companies like Coca-Cola and mainstream media are slowly warming up to esports, does Smash ever see any of that pie, or just because of our grassroots position and other unfortunate things in our cards that we will never be able to partner with those kind of things?
No, we will. Working on it. We're all. It's a gradual thing. I think we can absolutely do it. We need to prove our production value. I don't think when an outside org looks at a Smash event, they look at a partner, right? They don't look like someone that doesn't look like an appealing sales opportunity to them, because they don't think that their sales expectations will be met. They don't think that, hey, this Smash event you'll not necessarily execute on. I think there are ways to go before we can we can make that a possibility and make people really have faith in us in order to meet those ends. But yeah, it's standardization, learning how to deal with sponsors, learning how to meet their expectations, things like that. Knowing not only how to sell out and being willing to sell out, but how to sell out correctly. That's the hard one that we're still struggling with.
Huh. So you're the guy, right? You work at Twitch, right? So like, what are the next steps then?
Dude, if I can't tell you.
Okay.
I can't
no,
tell
that's
you.
fair.
But I'm working on it. So there's just have faith in the Blur. We're gonna work on it. But I think that it's gonna organically happen. It's natural growth. As long as our viewership and attendance is still going up, we're in a good spot.
Okay.
Right?
Well, okay. Let me. What are the low-hanging fruits that will help us get into that general direction? I guess if you can answer that.
Low-hanging fruits that would help us. Well, I don't think any of them are low. They're not usually low-hanging. That would the big steps that would help us get there. But the lowest hanging fruit, and I'm going to spam this to the general populace until people start really focusing in on it, is multi-language streams. They're not as hard to execute as people think they are. Sure, we did a pound and we did in-venue, but I think that the future is going to be building out studios. And when I say studios, you can do it at your house to really commentate over sets in other languages. What is Beyond the Summit? We're about to have go to the BTS house the next weekend. Beyond the Summit started out as some Dota fans in a house, and they started commentating over Asian and Eastern European Dota games, and they started commentating over it in English. They did that. They built a Twitch channel, became one of the biggest Twitch channels, and that's how they grew. You can do the same thing in Spanish, do the same thing in German. There's a big hole right now for a twitch.tv/Smash Espanol. Like, that is a huge hole, and someone can make that. Someone could do very well making that. And I don't think TOs would ever block them from doing it. So I think international growth is the number one point of number one low-hanging fruit, if you put it, for us at the moment.
So you liked what Pound did?
I did like what Pound did. I helped make that happen. Yes, I liked it a lot.
Do you think?
I think we should do that with more languages, and we should do it not only in person but also in studio.
Do you think? Do you think the upcoming metagame documentary is gonna give us a boost?
Yeah, there's always a natural Evo boost. There's going to be a doc boost. I'm really curious how that doc goes. Actually, I was talking to Atriot. We were watching the Mutaking episode over again, and I'm curious to see how the new metagame doc is going to be, because I wonder, especially having seen the new pieces of content like the HTC one, like some of the TSM ones that have come out in time, if people are going to be as open in front of the camera as they were for Travis in the original doc. In the original doc, people were so comfortable. You saw PC laid back, wife just said stuff, like he wasn't worried about talking about any issue, He talked about how King took his jacket and slept in it like a blanket, right? I wonder, are people in the new esports age where people are considering this their career, whereas in the doc era, people were just almost giving a post-mortem on Smash, is how it felt, right? They, in this new era, are they going to be as open with Travis with what they're saying, or are they going to be more reserved because they're worried about career implications and, hey, is this a dude that, or is someone going to hate me for saying this, and what does this mean for my following, and blah, blah, blah. So, curious how that doc's going to go.
Well,
but I think, of course, I have faith in Sandbox.
Well, I mean, a lot of that was, a lot of the filming was done, like, two years ago, so I don't really think it's going to come up as an issue. And, like, the thing about Sandbox, I don't know what it is about him. It may be his smile or his, like, affirmation, but, like, he, like, makes me feel like I'm listened to. And, like, he makes me want to pour out my soul on the topic that we're discussing. Like, he has that natural knack. That I'm not too worried about that.
No, yeah, I think Sandbox is just a wizard. He gets people to say what he wants them to say, or he gets them to like be super comfortable with it.
Yeah.
So I have full faith that Sandbox will overcome any hurdle, but Yeah, I think that I know for my interview for the doc, the first 20 minutes I was like so tense and worried because I'm like, oh, this is gonna be viewed by millions of people, right? Like I can't say anything wrong. But then he kind of settled me down, so I think that he probably will have to do that for a lot of other people as well. I remember like when the first doc was being filmed, guys, no one thought that it was gonna blow up like that, right? Many people wrote him off and said, why is this guy, who is this guy, effectively? So that's why some of the interviews are probably as candid as they are, because it felt like you're just talking to Travis, right? You're not talking to millions of people, which we all know this next doc will get in terms of viewership.
I actually got to have a good conversation with him at GDC.
Yeah.
And one of the questions I was actually asked was like, if you could add something to the documentary, what would you have added? And he said a True Dad episode.
That's interesting. I think a Chew episode would have been really good. Chew was definitely glossed over a little bit in terms of his legacy and what he meant for Smash, because he is definitely better than some of the players who got their own episode.
Yeah.
But I mean, whatever. I think his story was covered decently well. He had a large 5 to 10 minute segments about him in other episodes, right? So you didn't leave the documentary not knowing who True Dad was. So
yeah, but you left the documentary not knowing that he won pound 2 and that he got second place at every event.
Yeah, you left it thinking that KJ is probably better all time than True Dad is, and that is just false.
Yeah. Huh. So you're about at that time. You're almost at 5. You have an all hands, right?
I do. So I have to go soon. But yeah, it was good talking to you. A lot of topics. Do you have a final question? I covered it in these last 3 minutes.
Are we grabbing dinner on Wednesday?
Oh, we should. I'm not doing anything Wednesday night, so that'd be good.
Sounds good. I'm gonna try to get off work early. I took Thursday and Friday off this time, so I'll have the whole weekend. Last time I came late Thursday, if you remember.
You're coming, right? You're coming? Is that correct?
Yeah. They invited me as a talent.
Ooh, nice. So you're one of the casters. Nice.
Did you see the Tafo stats thing that K-pop tweeted?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be there.
About it.
So
we've been talking about it for months.
yes. Oh yeah, we Facebook message. So yeah, I'm gonna be there as talent. I'm really happy. Last time, I just made a final pitch and they just let me in. So it was really cool that they considered me this time.
Nice.
So yeah, that's pretty much it. Looking forward to hanging out with the homies.
The homies. It's always chill. Last summit was very, very chill. I'm looking forward to Mafia most of all. I got to prep up. I got to watch old VODs and show my ultimate gameplay before I get.
They're voting on
KO.
rules.
Huh?
They're doing that whole thing where I don't know how they're executing it. The audience gets to vote for the rules.
We won't be able to play in the first game. It sucks. But,
we won't.
Yeah, because if we can't play in a game where we weren't even in the voting for roles, right? So if we played, you'd know that I was not a Mafia because I wasn't even in the voting for who Mafia.
Remember our dream team last time?
Dude, our dream team was amazing. It was you, me, Mango, and Lucky, and it was
no, it was us three. It was us 3 plus Swedish. We gave Swedish the short straw because
I mean that Swedish doesn't count. Swedish was bad.
Well, we used him as a scapegoat. He was a tool for us.
He was a. Guys, you need to watch the Mafia Day 2 VODs if you want to see some high-level Mafia gameplay, because that might be the best Mafia match ever played. That was a good one.
All right, good stuff. I'll see you in a few days. Get some sleep so that we can have more energy for the event.
Sure, man.
All right, have a good
one.
Cool.
See you later.